FPL Game Week 4, players to buy, free hit, and wildcard draft. It's been a very long international break. Well, it's only been a week, but it feels that long because of what happened last week, for me anyway. But FPL is back this weekend, and we've got some players to look at, and it seems like a lot of people have activated their free hits and wildcard draft as well, so I've put together one for you guys as well. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, and it's game week 3, and we're still waiting for our first green. But we've got plenty of time to solve that and get back on track, and the one way to do that is keep looking at the best players to buy. So in today's video, we'll be going through the Vert verified power ranking, my top 5 for the next 5 across all the positions, a free hit draft, and a wildcard draft. So if you want to skip ahead, you can do that as well, as this will be added on the chapters on YouTube. But starting with goalkeepers as always, starting from the back, and I would still have Petrovic as number 1. I mentioned him last week as well, and we're going to go there again. They're actually putting up very good defensive numbers per 90. As you can see, it's only 0.95 expected goals per 90, and of course they've kept 2 clean sheets back to back, having lost to Liverpool and conceding 4 goals, but they've managed to balance that out since. So yeah, at 4.5, I think he's the best goalkeeper to have if you were to buy a goalkeeper. I don't think many of you will be, but if you're looking for a wildcard goalkeeper, I'd definitely be looking at Petrovic. If you can stretch to Vicario as well, I'd definitely go there as well. He's averaging quite a few saves, but of course they did lose in their last game, so maybe Tottenham aren't back straight away. But of course they've got good fixtures coming up. They've got West Ham away in game week 4, along with Wolves at home and Leeds in the next 3. So Petrovic, if you want to save money, as people usually do with goalkeepers, but Vicario if you're feeling a little flush with cash. Then the rest are basically making up the numbers. Raya will be an option in game week 7, but not for now, I don't think. Sanchez is okay, but I don't think he has the fixtures to go for it. And then Dubravka's here just because he is a budget option. Into the defenders, and not to give myself a pat on the back, but I did actually recommend Senesi as the number 1 defender last week in my game week 3 Vert verified watch list, and that was before his 14-point haul. So again, Senesi is number 1, mainly because of his value. Obviously he's gone up to 4.6 now, but he still represents incredible value given what he's providing. Of course he got 14 points from keeping a clean sheet, making an assist, getting the defcons, because of course he's now averaging well over the required defcon. Just a reminder for defenders, you need 10 defcons for the extra 2 points, and for the other outfielders, so midfielders and forwards, you need 12. And he's averaging 14.33, so he's got 4.33 spare on average at the moment. And Bournemouth have the fixtures, so I think if you're buying a defender, it probably has to be Senesi just because of the value. And one thing I think we're noticing this year, which will probably become a trend, is just playing our defenders that can get good defcon in tougher fixtures. Of course, in game week 3, Crystal Palace went to Aston Villa, a place where Aston Villa had only lost once at home last season, and that was in game week 2. So game week 3 onwards in season 24-25, Aston Villa didn't lose any more home games, and Daniel Munoz picked up 9 points from getting 11 defcons and a bonus point as well as a clean sheet. So I think that was without his attacking impetus and his attacking threat, and we know what he can do. So I think Daniel Munoz has to be number 2. He's a little bit more expensive, but I do think he has to be there because Sunderland, West Ham, those are great fixtures, and I think Liverpool, you can just play him because it's at home as well. You can just play him and see what happens, I think. Then Gabriel, it will come into thinking as well, because the defenders, he hasn't really been getting the defcons really, but Arsenal have been away to Old Trafford and Anfield in the first 3 game weeks. Very difficult start. Probably comes into thinking probably around game week 7, like all the Arsenal players, but he's here because I do think Arsenal could probably keep a clean sheet this week. Let's see what happens. Tarkowski is just the defcon monster. Even though Senesi's getting more at the moment, Tarkowski still gets his defcon even in a loss. So we're going to go there. And then Pedro Porro is here because Spurs still have great fixtures, but I think if you're going to go into the Spurs defense, you might as well go for some upside. And with Maddison out, Pedro Porro is taking a lot of the set pieces. So despite Tottenham losing at home last week, obviously it was only 1-0, so they didn't get a -1 for 2 goals conceded, and he got his defcon because of a recalculation. So that's the defenders right now. Into the midfielders, and being honest, the midfielders are not doing enough at the moment. If you look at the top 3 scoring players in the game at the moment, they're all defenders. Then the next highest is a forward in Joao Pedro, and the next highest is Enzo, who's obviously not going to be an option. But we'll have Salah at number 1 because he's going away to Burnley this week, and I think he's the best captain. Probably the best captain in Game Week 5 as well. So I think Salah has to be a must-own, even though he's not doing enough. Obviously, we hold him to incredibly high standards as the GOAT FPL asset, which he's rightfully earned. But I think you can't go against Salah for Burnley away. In Game Week 6, I might sell him because Haaland will be hosting Burnley, and as we'll see in a short second, Haaland's numbers are kind of undeniable at the moment. So going without Haaland for Burnley at home sounds like trouble. So Salah's number 1 for now. Semenyo is here because he is just putting up incredible numbers every single week, and 7.4 million, even though he's risen by 0.4 in 3 game weeks, he still represents incredible value for, you know, if we want to fit in the premiums. Then Bruno's here begrudgingly because he somehow got 10 points despite notching a very last minute penalty, but he is putting up the DEFCON numbers. I still maintain that I don't think he's worth the money, because 9 million for a deep lying playmaker who's going to be hopefully getting DEFCON, which is 2 points, and then a penalty hero there, unless he starts putting up assist numbers. Well, I guess if United start putting away the chances, maybe he'll be an option. For me, still not an option. He's because, you know, City and Chelsea in the next 2, Brentford away. Then Game Week 7, if he's impressing, maybe. But then in Game Week 8, it's away to Liverpool. So, you know, I'm not too sure if he's really worth it. But we can obviously come back to that. Njai's here because he is a great budget option. I looked at him in pre-season and didn't go with him, but he's got 2 goals back-to-back weeks now. And I think everyone's going to be talking about Grealish at the moment. But in Game Week 8, Everton go away to Manchester City, which means that Grealish will be ineligible to play. So unless you've got a player to step in, maybe you've got a Burnley defender, because Burnley will be hosting Leeds in Game Week 8. So maybe you can go for Grealish. But I still will always side with the player that's getting the goal threat rather than the assist threat. I just think it's a bit more. You can just rely on someone to score a goal rather than someone to assist. Maybe I'm wrong. Last year I looked at Palmer instead of Saka because Saka put up a lot of assist numbers in the game against Leicester that he blanked in, whereas Palmer just scored 4 goals and a half. So maybe I need to change my thinking, but I still think goal threat is the one. And then Paqueta's here because he's like a cheaper Bruno. So if you want to, if you're someone that's happy to, rest your hat on getting DEFCONs and maybe a penalty here and there, then I can maybe understand Paqueta a bit more because he's a lot cheaper. He's not 9 million. So yeah, if you want Paqueta like a budget Bruno, he's your man. Into the forwards, and at number 1 we have Joao Pedro, the apparent pre-season FPL trap, according to certain FPL experts. That is in air quotes, you can't see me doing it. But I think at his price, he has to be kind of being viewed as essential right now. 7.7 million, his price is only going to go up. He already is the most owned asset in the game as well. So pretty much every week he's returning, you're losing points. So unless you've got a forward that's going to be outscoring him, which there doesn't seem to be one at the moment, because he is the 4th highest scoring player in the game behind the 3 defenders, so he's the highest scoring forward in the game. Yeah, I think you just have to own Joao Pedro. If we get minutes worries when the Champions League starts, you can deal with it then. But for now, I don't think there's a reason to go without him, to be honest. And Brentford away, United at away, Brighton at home, Liverpool at home, I don't think is a bad fixture, seeing the way Liverpool are defending. So yeah, I think Joao Pedro has to be number 1 right now. Number 2 is Mr. Erling Haaland. Of course, he made news this week because he scored 5 goals and made 2 assists. So why don't I own Haaland personally? Well, it was a bit of, obviously, like I said at the start of the season, it was a catch. It was between Salah or Haaland in your team. And I think for the next 2 game weeks, especially, I'd rather own Salah because he's away to Burnley and hosting Everton, whereas City, who are not looking very good, they've lost back-to-back games in the league already. They're going to host Man United, which is historically a good fixture for Haaland, but of course last year they actually lost at home. They lost this fixture last home, and then they're going away to Arsenal, which of course is not a good fixture for any attacker. Arsenal are definitely the best defense in the league, and the last time City went to the Emirates Stadium, they lost 5-1. So I definitely own Salah for game week 4 and 5. However, game week 6, I probably would prefer to own him. Own Haaland, that is, because his numbers. He's he's currently got 1.49 expected goal involvement per 90. So he's putting to every time he steps on the pitch at the moment, he's expected 1.5 goals essentially. So those kind of numbers you kind of need to sit up and take notice of. And so in game week 6, I was going to previously get the free hit, but I do think, I think the free hit will probably be better utilized later in the season later around Christmas period, because Crystal Palace may and quite likely have a blank game week, which means there'll be a double game week somewhere as well. I think it'd be better to use it to navigate that period rather than just getting some City players that don't actually look that inspiring as well. And I'll probably get Semenyo, who has Leeds away that week as well, to downgrade Salah. So I think it'll just be a straight swap. So I think game week 6, I'll definitely own Haaland either way. And then the real question is, game week 8, because of course Salah hosts United in game week 8, which is usually a good fixture for him. But then City hosts Everton. I don't think Everton is a green fixture at the moment. They're actually looking like a super team, if we're being quite honest. But of course, we'll have more time to take note of what's happening. So we'll come back to reassess that. But definitely own Haaland for game week 6. Don't listen to what anyone's telling you about go without. No, do not do that. This is literally hat-trick territory. So if you don't own Haaland for that, yeah, you're asking for trouble. Then Mateta is here because even though he scored, he got a yellow card, so he only got 5 points and no bonus. But he's still going to be a great option, especially with Salah potentially out. He's going to be the main attacker. That's why I'm interested in Munoz as well. I expect Munoz to be a bit more forward, given if Salah's going to be out. And I think Sunderland at home, West Ham away, it should be a good fixture for a team like Crystal Palace. Obviously, I got burned by Nottingham Forest hosting West Ham at home, but you would say that Crystal Palace can attack better than Nottingham Forest. I don't think that's hard to say. Then in game week 6, yeah, that's an issue, kind of. But again, Liverpool if you have to play a Liverpool attacker at home, if you have to play a Palace attacker at home against Liverpool, it's not the end of the world. So yeah, make sure you can look at that. Evan Nilsson got his first goal of the season in game week 3 away at Tottenham. It was a well taken goal. And he usually puts up good numbers, so he's one to monitor for sure. Obviously, Bournemouth are just a great team. They're coached by a great manager, Andoni Iraola. So yeah, I think they showed everyone in game week 1 that they're not just going to flop because they've lost all their players. So I think Bournemouth are worth looking at. And then Gyökeres is an interesting one because I personally believe he's going to be in my team in game week 7, but I think game week 4 you expect, especially with this Ange appointment at Nottingham Forest, I do think that Nottingham Forest will definitely not be, the defence can be targeted now, given the way that Ange was defending last year with Spurs. So Gyökeres, he's not easy to fit in. That's why he's 5th. He's 9 million. So you're basically giving up a premium somewhere to bring him in. So I'd personally look at him for game week 7. But yeah, those are my top 5 at the moment. So into my free hit draft, and it seems like a lot of managers have got their free hit chips active, including my flatmate who showed me his free hit, and I literally face palmed because he's got 5 defenders. And 3 of them are Arsenal players, so I can't believe that. But if you want to double up on the Arsenal defense, I think you should go for Raya and Gabriel. I will never ever subscribe to double defense unless it's like Arsenal at home to, let's say, Leeds. But Nottingham Forest, they can score you. If Chris Wood scores, will you be surprised? I don't think you will be. So Raya and Gabriel is my double up. Then Munoz, because of the threat that he has on both ends of the pitch, and of course he's now picking up Defcons, so we have to go there. Anderson's going to be here because he's a budget option and they're hosting Leeds. King's here as well because he should have scored, but it was wrongfully ruled out, as VAR have now actually apologised to Fulham, which never does anything, but it's just proof that it was a very bad call. Then we've got Dewsbury Hall's going to be hosting Aston Villa, but he put in a great performance away at Wolves, so I think he should be recognised as that. Then we're going to go for the Liverpool triple up because it doesn't seem like Isak's going to be starting games at the moment. He didn't start for Sweden once over the international break. He hasn't played all season so far either, so I do think he'll be eased in. So I think a free hit allows you to go for all 3 of Salah, Gakpo and Ekitike, because I don't think you want to own all 3 of them going forward because we don't know how they're going to set up in the Premier League. So I would go for this as my first team, and then obviously the bench can be whatever you like, but that's my personal free hit draft. Into the game week 4 wildcard draft, and just a mention, if you haven't got it active already, please do not, because I'm telling you 3 weeks is not enough to draw any conclusions upon anything. In game week 2 we would have said let's triple up on Tottenham. I'm sure people would have gone for double defense or maybe an attacker or something, and then obviously they blank at home and obviously get battered at home. Actually, that would be a better way to frame it, because Bournemouth completely dominated them and they were the home team, so they got dominated at home. They've got good fixtures, but still, I'm telling you, we're literally in the period where one game can literally skew a whole view of someone's expected goals or expected goals against. So for me, it's not enough. But if you have got it active already, or let's say you've got like 5 injuries or something, which is like super rare, but I would go for this. I would go for Petrovic and Senesi as a Bournemouth double up. Let's see if Bournemouth don't ruin how we view Bournemouth at the moment. Brighton, I mean. Gabriel here because we just get him in early, and you can play an Arsenal defender in pretty much any game, to be honest. They're not going to concede 2 goals too often. Munoz is here because I think he offers a lot and it's a great time to get on him. He's hosting Sunderland, as is Mateta. Then we've got Salah here because he's a captain. We have gone for Salah and Haaland back in both in the team because I think it's better to just, if you're going to wildcard now, you might as well start with the most expensive in each position and then downgrade rather than trying to go without, do nonchalant gimmick, and then try and do surgery to get them in. Because, as I say, Salah for this week is pretty much essential. Salah in game week 4 for Burnley is essential. Then Haaland in game week 6 will be essential in terms of captaincy anyway. So if you don't want to feel naked like I do, like if there's a very obvious premium playing a very good team, well, a good team for them, yeah, you start with both of them. King will be here because he's just going to rotate in with Reinders. I'm not actually too sold on Reinders, even though I started with him. It looks like game week 1 may have been a fluke. Let's see what happens going forward. I think Semenyo is pretty much a no-brainer in terms of the midfield, and then Dewsbury Hall's here as well, as is Joao Pedro. So that's the way I look at the wildcard right now. Again, if you haven't got it active, do not activate it. I'm sure in 3 weeks' time we're going to have completely different narratives. We're going to see new trends emerge. We're going to see new players come out of the woodwork as well. So that's how I'm viewing it at the moment. But if you have got it active, this is what I'd go for. So good to be back. FPL's back on Saturday. We'll be back with a team selection video, hopefully. I'm actually recording just before I'm leaving for the airport. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button for the dedication. If you've got any questions, please leave it in the comments, or you can DM me on the socials, on Blue Sky, on Twitter, on Instagram as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.